Good evening, everyone. It is Sunday night, January 25th, 2026. This is Truth News. I am Walter Bass, and we are going to go back to the bread and butter of the United States economy, child sex trafficking. You know, the more I dig, the more I find, and it's like never ending with this evil of the atrocities and crimes against humanity committed against the children of the United States of America. It's the most disgusting thing I've ever even heard of in my life. So I have my coffee and I like to drink it while it's hot, so I'll be sipping on my coffee throughout the show. I'm not a big fan of cold coffee. So we're going to start with some facades, some fronts, some fakes, some schemes with child sex trafficking organizations posing to actually be combating and advocating against child sex trafficking while they're just raking in money and not doing anything except making money, grifting. Operation Underground Railroad, Tim Ballard, he's no longer there. He was the CEO. He got caught up in a sex scandal. Shocker. Supposed to be out saving kids from sexual abuse, and you can't control your own sexual urges. Sexual deviant Tim Ballard, no longer there. But Operation Underground Railroad is just mythology building. This is what I researched. They have exaggerated claims of rescues to generate money. So, like Erica Kirk and her Romanian Angels, and how they show these pictures of kids, and they put on all these images in front of the cameras of doing all these amazing, wonderful things for children. Turns out they're not doing anything for children. They're just using fake images to make money. And you'll have to excuse my voice. I've been yelling all day at Riverside County Sheriff's Department and Capitol Hill Police Intelligence as it's day 1,599 that my son is a victim of child sex trafficking by State Judge Kelly Hansen. And as far as I know, according to Capitol Hill Police Intelligence, my son is dead, and they won't return my son's dead body so I can have closure, put him in the ground, say a prayer, and move on with my life. They like to use my son as a weapon to retaliate against me for exposing all of this. So the more they retaliate against me, the more I'm going to expose this. And we're in this never-ending game of tit for tat. You know, they steal my son, they molest my son, they murder my son, and they want me to shut up and go away. I'm not shutting up and I'm not going away. Period. Full stop. That being said, we're going to call the National Human Trafficking Hotline live on the show tonight, and I'm going to show you what these people do. And I've called them many times and tried to follow claims, and it turns out they don't actually report human trafficking. They are just crisis counselors. Like if you're being trafficked and you call the National Human Trafficking Hotline, which I'm going to do on speakerphone, it says, help is available. Speak with someone immediately. National Human Trafficking Hotline. So let's call and put them on speaker and watch what they do. Are you in a safe place? Watch. They'll be like, are you in a safe place? Can you speak?
Thank you for calling. Press 1 for English, 2 for Spanish.
Thank you for calling the National Human Trafficking Hotline. If you are experiencing an emergency, please hang up and dial 911. To be connected with an advocate now, please press 1. If you prefer
An
a callback,
advocate.
please press 2.
And these people are making money. They have a phone line set up. They're funded. Somebody's funding these organizations. Hi, I need to report human trafficking, please.
Okay, what needs to be reported?
My son, Grayson Bass, was kidnapped, sexually assaulted, and trafficked 1,599 days ago. And I haven't seen or heard from him since 2021 because the United States government sells stolen children.
Have you contacted law enforcement about this issue?
I've contacted FBI, local, state, U.S. Marshals, Secret Service, Capitol Hill Police Intelligence, 911, even the U.S. Marines.
what kind of assistance or resources will you be needing from us in order to be able to assist you?
Well, this is the human trafficking hotline. What exactly is your role or function?
So our role and function basically is to aid support in the sense of individuals getting them out of the human trafficking situation. That can be whether we can offer them shelter programs, resources in a sense of food pantries, therapy, counseling, and stuff like that. We're not a law enforcement agency, so we can't act in a sense of a law enforcement way to go look for your son, unfortunately.
Are you mandated reporters?
Excuse me? We are mandated reporters, but that is a process that does take time to reach out to local law enforcement jurisdictions and let them know about issues that the public calls us about.
Well, I've called and spoke to a lady named Raven about 5 or 6 months ago, and documented everything. And I've been calling you guys since 2021 pretty regularly. Once every couple of months, I call you and report child sex trafficking of my son. And I haven't seen or heard from my son since 2021. And the last time I spoke with your agency, they actually told me you guys are just crisis counselors. They usually ask me, are you in a safe place? Can you talk? And I say, yeah. And then they told me you guys are just crisis counselors. So I'm confused because a national human trafficking hotline I thought was to prevent or combat human trafficking. And it seems like you guys are just a shoulder to cry on for victims of human trafficking.
One can look at it that way, but also we do work with a lot of law enforcement jurisdictions in order to prevent that. Our role, basically, we're the liaison, and we let them know. After that is out of our hands. Once we report it to law enforcement, it's law enforcement's job and responsibility to stop the human trafficking. You call us, you give us the information, for example, and this is just a hypothetical situation, if you know that there's human trafficking going on in your next door neighbor's house, we get that information and we give it to law enforcement. After we do that, we store it in our database, right? And then we keep records of it. And then whatever happens after that is going to be law enforcement's job and responsibility.
So do you have my case in your database where I made a report with Raven 6 months ago? And not to mention I've been calling since 2021.
So with that, there was a transition of the hotline protocol. There might be a possibility that the individual that you spoke with 6 months ago, we might not have records of those, or we might, but I would need to reach out to my upper leadership to see if we can find our archive records, because we were inherited the hotline from another entity.
So you guys are a new, what is this, a non-profit?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So who is the company operating the nonprofit? Do you know?
Unfortunately, due to privacy concerns, I can't really disclose that information. But if you are more than willing, what I can do for you is I can go ahead and create a new case for you with the information that you've already given me. I can give you a case number, and if you want to go ahead and call us back in another 6 months, just to kind of, let us know, give us an update, we'll have your case saved with us.
We can do that, but just so you know, you said privacy concerns prevents information about nonprofits. Nonprofits are 501(c)(3)s, and all information is available online. So I'm a bit confused by the whole privacy concerns with a nonprofit regarding child sex trafficking or human trafficking, because that's a contradictory statement.
Well, that's what I was going to refer you to next. If you want to know more information, you can definitely visit our website.
Okay, well let's file another case number. Like I said, I've been calling you guys since 2021. Has this organization, does it keep changing hands or something? Because I can't. It's like a never-ending loop to nowhere since 2021, and that we're in 2026. So, do you know? I mean, like you said, it just changed hands. I'm wondering, in the last 4, almost 5 years since I've been calling your organization, how many times do you know has it changed hands or leadership?
Just once. After that, I really wouldn't After that, honestly, no. The Human Trafficking Initiative was just with one individual or one entity since it's been created. We're the second.
Okay, and you're privately funded. You're not government sponsored.
Information like that would be in the website because even I wouldn't know.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
So here's my next question: If I spoke with Raven 6 months ago, she input everything into the database of the computer. Are you telling me the old database got wiped out and now you're starting a whole new database?
Hello? I'm sorry, so you cut out for a second.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I caught everything except for your maybe last 5 seconds.
Yeah, so you're saying if I made a report with Raven that the database, because you guys switched ownership or leadership, whatever the case may be, the database got wiped and you're starting a whole new database? The old information is no longer there?
No. We have archived records from the previous entity that had ownership of the hotline entity. It's just we haven't had time to go through each and every individual case and transfer it over to our servers.
I see.
If you contacted somebody in the past, we do have your case. But that's why I'm letting you know right now, if you want to get access to your case, I would need to reach out to my upper leadership and see if we can find your case. But I can't guarantee that we're going to be able to do it for tonight. That's why I'm offering you, we can open a new case. And if you do call back in 6 months with a new update or anything, or you just want to talk, I can guarantee you that we'll probably have your old case integrated with your new case. Does that make sense?
It does, but I just
That's
don't.
what we're currently working on right now.
Here's what I'm confused on. My son was kidnapped Thursday, September 9th of 2021 by a state judge who has thousands of victims of children he's been kidnapping, molesting, and selling, using his position as a state judge to do so. I went to the FBI Monday, September 13th of 2021 with a folder full of evidence. I'm talking personal testimonies, lawsuits, media reports, all types of evidence, court transcripts, everything to prove everything that I said. And I'm not getting anywhere for almost 5 years. And I've already gone to the FBI. I've gone to all law enforcement, state, local, federal. I've even gone to all my congressmen and senators from Georgia to California. And I just get a never-ending loop of call someone else, or there's nothing we can do. We can't help you. So I'm actually, I do a podcast called Truth News 963 on YouTube. And I document everything for this podcast. And we're covering how all of these organizations are taking in money to combat child sex trafficking, like Operation Underground Railroad with Tim Ballard. And they're basically a fraud. They have false claims to help children and save children, and they're just grifting and making a lot of money, and they're not actually doing anything. So are you guys aren't doing that, are you? Sir? Oh, they hung up. They hung up, ladies and gentlemen. Well, we know what they're about. That was the national hotline for human trafficking. You see how quick I said when I do a podcast that call was terminated. So now we know that all of these organizations that take in all this money and lie to us to generate millions and billions of dollars, they're just stealing our money and they're selling our kids on top of it. More evil exposed. See what I mean? The more I dig, the more I find. So, where they lie about rescuing children and they lie about trafficking children, yeah, that would be Operation Underground Railroad. And then I looked into Wayfair selling kids as overpriced furniture. And I saw this report on I believe, was it Coach Colin? It might have been Coach Colin. One of the other podcasters. Wayfair was selling a cabinet, like literally just, yay tall, yay wide, and it had a name like Samari, a Samari cabinet. And it turns out Samari was the name of a child that was missing from Ohio. And Wayfair was selling this cabinet for $13,000. Have you ever seen a $13,000 cabinet at Wayfair? I didn't know a little curio cabinet could be $13,000. Maybe from like King Louis or something, or I don't know, some dynasty, some Mong dynasty in China, some ancient thing. I would understand an antique. No, this was brand new furniture with a child's name attached to it as a cabinet, sold for $13,000. So Wayfair selling kids as overpriced furniture. And we touched on this the last child sex trafficking show about Pizzagate in Washington, D.C. We all know that's real. We all know what pizza means. We've all seen Cabot Phillips. If you haven't, go online, Google Cabot Phillips pizza tattoo. He's got supposedly this is AI generated. I'm not sure if it's real or not, but the photo of Cabot Phillips holding his bottom lip open with the word pizza on the inside of his bottom lip. First of all, who would get a tattoo that says pizza on the inside of their bottom lip? That's first of all, if it's real. If it's not real, why would you make a fake picture of a fake tattoo on your bottom lip that says pizza? I don't see the relevancy in that, other than you are claiming to be a child sex trafficker or a pedophile and openly admitting it by doing this picture. And that is online, and that is a real picture. Whether the tattoo is real or not is up for debate. So we all know we still haven't got the Epstein files. We still haven't got the Epstein files. You know why? Because the Epstein files will destroy the United States government. The Epstein files will expose how long, how deep, and how wide this corruption spans regarding pedophiles, selling children, stealing children, and just the trafficking of children worldwide, ladies and gentlemen. This isn't just state to state. No. American children are being sold to Korea, China, Middle East, Mexico. They're everywhere. That's why, if you don't believe me, start paying attention when you go to your local grocery store. When you go to your local Walmart, look around and see how many children you see. I remember at Walmart, and I do this regularly, when I go to Walmart, I go by the toy section just to see how many kids are in there. Just, get a gaze. 2 or 3 children. That's all, 2 or 3. When I was a kid, I used to go and I couldn't get down the toy aisle. There was kids all over the toy aisle. Every aisle had children on it. Now, very few and far between. And I went to Walmart Christmas Eve, and I counted 3 kids in the whole store, 3 on Christmas Eve. 3 children. One of them was a newborn baby. One of them was about 2 or 3 years old. Another one was about 6. Pay attention. The malls are closed. You know why? Why do you need malls if you don't have kids to go to the mall? Because let's face it, the mall was an attractant for children. I know when I was a kid, we used to all meet at the mall. Everybody met at the mall. We walked around the mall. Sometimes if our parents had money, they'd give us some money for lunch or whatever. We'd hang out at the malls. Where are all the malls? What about the McDonald's play places? Where are they at? Where are they at? How come our parks are for homeless people to sleep in? I pay attention. I look at the parks. I look at I live right by a mall that's no longer open. It used to be a mall, but it's shut down. You know why? Because we don't have any kids. What's the point of having a mall? All of our kids have been stolen. So law enforcement lies, as I endure. The FBI lies, as I endure. churches, pastors, Hollywood, all these people. We all know all these people are child trafficking. And we know all these people are liars. Law enforcement, Cash Patel, Pam Bondi, the FBI, churches, Rob McCoy, Greg Laurie, these pastors, TPUSA, Erica Kirk, Hollywood. Now, who is the father of lies? Satan. That's why I read my Bible every day. That's why I say what is going on is evil and demonic. The Bible says Satan is the father of lies. Who is lying more than anyone? The United States government. Why are they lying? Because they're child traffickers. They're pedophiles. They're rapists. They're scumbags. These people are trash. So this is where it gets interesting. I did some more digging on Congress members, and I think I Googled Congress members child abuse or Congress members child trafficking. I just wanted to look and see, and I came up with a list of names. Shocker, more Congress members of the United States government, taxpayer-funded public servants, who we work to pay so they can go to work and do what we ask. What are they doing? Molesting children, trafficking children. So we have Matt Gaetz, which many of you should be familiar with. If you're not, he paid a 17-year-old girl to have sex with him. Now, why did the 17-year-old girl take money to have sex with Matt Gaetz? Because she wanted braces. She wanted to have a nice, pretty smile. So in order to get braces and have a nice, pretty smile, she took money from a taxpayer-funded public servant to sleep with him. Now, here's the thing. Some things seem like a good idea until after the fact. I know in my life, I've done some things that I deeply regret, that at the time sounded like a good idea. But when the consequences came, it was not a good idea. Whether it was drug or alcohol use, whether it was lying, just, we've all done things in our life that we're not proud of. But we did them not knowing what would happen after the fact. And I'm sure at the time, that 17-year-old girl that Matt Gaetz paid for sex and probably coerced her, probably manipulated her being 17 and Matt Gaetz being in his 40s or ever how old he is. I'm sure he coerced and manipulated her and convinced her it was a good idea and it would be okay and it was no big deal. And I'm sure after the fact, she probably felt pretty nasty, pretty dirty, pretty icky. And, things like that, you don't just wash off. Things like that stain the brain, stain the mind. And that's why I'm so disgusted by what these people can do to children, because you cannot fix a molested child. That stays with these kids for life. For life. If you're molested as a child, you will carry that trauma, that abuse with you for the rest of your life. You can't wash it off. You can't just wish it away. That is something that is permanently damaging and traumatizing to a human being, guy or girl. Makes no difference. So next we're going to go to Justin Eichhorn, former Minnesota state senator, arrested for solicitation of a minor. Soliciting a minor for sex, former Minnesota state senator Justin Eichhorn. Again, I implore everyone, look this up. Google it for yourself. We have Cecil Brockman, former North Carolina state representative, rape of a 15-year-old boy. Let me repeat that. Cecil Brockman, former North Carolina state representative, raped a 15-year-old boy. That is disgusting. That is just, and these are public servants. I mean, these are the people you see on Fox News. These are the people you see on NBC and CBS. These are the people in suits and ties and dresses and jewelry convincing you that they care about you and your interest, and they are serving our country by raping 15-year-old boys. Disgusting. Next, we have R.J. May, former South Carolina state representative, arrested for distributing child sex abuse material. Distributing child sex abuse material, which means he was probably creating it and distributing it. Because if he got it from somewhere, somebody sent it to him, and he sent it to someone else, wouldn't they go after the person who created it? So I'm going to go out on a limb and say R.J. May, former South Carolina state representative, arrested for distributing child sex abuse material. That is... I want you to think about this, ladies and gentlemen. These people are taking innocent children, putting them in basements, putting them in rooms, putting them in places out of sight, in front of a camera, and then telling them to do nasty, vile, disgusting things. So the level of trauma these children are going through, it's one thing to be taken and put in a basement or in a secluded room with no windows or blankets over the windows. That's one level of trauma. You're away from your safe place. You're away from your home. You're away from your parents. So you're already scared and traumatized. Next, they set up a camera and lights. And you know these kids are feeling like, what's going on? Why are we on a camera? And then they start telling you to do nasty stuff. So the level and degree of trauma and evil, and then to film it, and then to distribute it, to sell this for money. First of all, who's selling this stuff? And second of all, who in the hell is buying this stuff? Who says I'll give you money if you have that type of material? These people should not be in society, period. Point blank, full stop. These are not the kind of people I want to pass in a grocery store, at a gas station, anywhere. I don't want these people in normal functioning society because they are not normal functioning people, obviously. Next, Ray Holmberg, former North Dakota state senator, traveled to the Czech Republic for sex with minor boys. Now, let me repeat that because I think the level of this, it just says how far and how far they're willing to go and how depraved mentally they are. Ray Holmberg, former North Dakota senator. So all of his income as a senator is tax driven. He's making our money. And he traveled to the Czech Republic. So he travels out of the country to have sex with minor boys. How far gone are you as a sexual deviant and just as a monster that you're willing to A, spend money on a plane ticket, B, you're willing to travel across the world just for sex with minor boys? Not that I'm saying he should have sex with minor boys in the United States. You should not have sex with minors, period. But the fact that you're willing to research the Czech Republic, because I'm sure he didn't just fly over there on a whim, land, book a hotel room, and start patrolling the streets. I'm sure there were arrangements made before he got there. So how can a new North Dakota state senator call the Czech Republic, make arrangements, and be committed enough to buy a plane ticket to the Czech Republic to fly over to have sex with minor boys? That's how you know this is global. And that's how you know how deep our government is involved. So, I saved one of the best for last. He's one of the most well-known right now. You see him quite often. He's on oversight committees. Jim Jordan. Jim Jordan, he's on an oversight committee in the House of Representatives, I believe. And he is the former Ohio State wrestling coach, assistant coach. And Richard Strauss was sexually abusing boys from 1987 to 1994. The entire duration Jim Jordan was there. Jim Jordan was there. All these years, Richard Strauss sexually abusing boys for almost 10 years. Almost 10 years. 7 years to be exact. Now, if you look into Jim Jordan and sexual abuse of children, you will find that people said he was involved. Some of the boys said he was involved. He was molesting boys too. And when somebody reported it, and I didn't get the gentleman's name because I feel like victims should be protected. That they've been victimized enough. Nobody wants to be famous for being a victim of sexual deviancy. Nobody wants to be famous for the wrong reasons. You know what I mean? Like, if you want to be famous, it's for working hard, doing good, and just doing the right thing. Nobody wants to be famous as a victim of a crime. That's more abuse, more emotional trauma. So Jim Jordan intimidated and retaliated when people reported that Jim Jordan was involved. Now, why do you think Jim Jordan would intimidate and retaliate people for saying he was sexually molesting children? Because he was running for a government position at the time and didn't want to ruin his career. You see, that's the problem with these people. They get this money, they get these positions of power, and then they think they can get away with anything. And it's not fair if somebody finds out they're raping, molesting, or trafficking children, because it could cost them their job. It's okay for them to do it. It's just not okay for anyone to know about it because it'll ruin their livelihood. They need to make their money and they need their job. They need their job more than we need children, more than we need a future of society. Jim Jordan needs his job in Congress on the Oversight Committee. So, and this is rich. This is the modus operandi for any government official accused of any crime. Are you ready? Jim Jordan also said the accusations were politically motivated. How many times have we heard this? Politically motivated. The Epstein survivors are a Democratic hoax. It's a Democrats. It's political. It's all political. It's not that they were raping kids. No, the kids were Democrats. The little boys were Democrats. That's what's going on. They're not really sexual abuse victims. They're Democrats. That's all it is. These people are so sick. It's unbelievable. So, does anyone remember Jerry Sandusky at Penn State? Child sex abuse for over 15 years, ladies and gentlemen. 15 years. So we have Jerry Sandusky at Penn State. We have Richard Strauss at Ohio State. We have Jim Jordan, who's now in Congress. 7 years, 15 years. We have Larry Nassar, gymnastics coach, serial child molester from 1996 to 2014. A little girl's gymnastics doctor. A doctor. Do you see how rampant and widespread this child sex abuse is? I mean, it just, the more I dig, the more I find, and the more sickened I get. It's just sickening. So, and I wrote this down. So to recap and connect the dots, we have Hollywood, churches like TPUSA and Harvest Church with Greg Laurie, Congress, all in Congress. We have military, Colonel Otto Buscher. We have the Romanian Angels. We have the brothels in Romania. We have law enforcement, the FBI, local, state, federal. I've contacted them. We have colleges, Penn State, Ohio State, others. We have anti-trafficking organizations, Operation Underground Railroad. You heard the National Human Trafficking Hotline tonight. And we have pastors to the president of the United States of America and the music industry and Hollywood, all collectively child sex trafficking, abusing children, and covering for each other. Think about that. Churches, universities, Hollywood, the music industry, the government, all collectively sexually abusing children and covering for each other. And we have people like Fox News, ABC, NBC, CBS acting like the big story is Davos. Davos is the big story. That's the big story. Or the black bruises on Trump's hand. That's the big story. Not the satanic occult that is slaughtering our children, destroying our country from the inside, ruining our society as a whole. That's not a big deal. Let's talk about Davos, the Golden Ballroom, and let's talk about the economy. You want to talk about the economy? Forget the fact that millions of American children are ruined for life by Hollywood, churches, music industry, the government. Let's ignore all that. Let's talk about the economy and affordability. Let's talk about affordability. This is absolutely unbelievable. So I always close with a Bible statement. And I want to thank everyone for taking the time to watch this. And like I said, I wouldn't be doing this if my son wasn't a victim of child sex trafficking. I wouldn't. I'd just be going on about my normal everyday life. But because my son is a victim of child sex trafficking, and I reported it to the FBI, and the FBI retaliated against me for reporting child sex trafficking, I figured the only thing I know to do is stand up and speak out. And I'm doing my best. So I ask everyone to please like, share, and subscribe. And let's raise awareness for this. Let's stop this. There's no need for this. It's sick. It's cruel. It's inhumane. It's barbaric. Literally, it's animalistic. I mean, these are creatures. This is not... Human beings do not behave like this, ladies and gentlemen. And I think we all can agree on that. A normal, functioning, rational human being would never abuse children, whether it be sexually, physically, mentally, or emotionally. I think we can all agree on that as human beings. So I wanted to read, this is the John MacArthur Study Bible. And what it is if you look here, the top is the actual Bible verses here. This is going to be your Bible verses. And all of this is John MacArthur translating the verses to where you can better understand it. So the verse 7, this is going to be John 7:19. And it talks about where they wanted to kill Jesus. And let me pull up here. This is 7:19. Did not Moses give you the law? And yet none of you carries out the law. Why do you seek to kill me? That's what Jesus said. Jesus said, Moses gave you the law. None of you follow the law. And you want to kill me. Why? Why do you want to kill me? So this is MacArthur breaking down that verse. And I encourage everyone, these John MacArthur study Bibles, it really is, if you want to get deep into the Bible and really understand a lot of it, John MacArthur is probably one of the greatest biblical theologians that I've ever encountered. And I've listened to Billy Graham, Geno Jennings, Jordan Peterson. He's up there as well. I mean, they go back and forth, Jordan Peterson and John MacArthur, biblical scholars on levels that I've never seen. So on what John MacArthur says on the 7:19 verse, if Jesus were another religious fake, the world never would have reacted in such hatred. Now, do you remember in the Bible it says, they hated me before they hated you. They hated Jesus before they hated us. You see my government attacking me, the FBI retaliating against me, all these people that just treat me like crap, that's how I know I'm doing the right thing. Because they hated Jesus before they hated me. And all I'm doing is telling the truth. Just like Candace Owens. They hate Candace Owens. Why? Because she's telling the truth. And I've told all of you, tell the truth. Not in a rude or disrespectful way, which I'm very rude and disrespectful to my government. Because I have no use for these people. I really don't. I'm done with the government. I'm over these evil people. But just in common casual contact, if you just tell the truth to somebody, they get so offended and so upset. So I'm over 10 minutes over. Let me wrap this up. So it says, if Jesus were another religious fake, the world never would have reacted in such hatred. Since the evil world system loves its own, its hatred towards him demonstrates that he came from God. Which means the world loves evil. Look at Trump. Look at Erica Kirk. Look at all these rich and elite and powerful people. They all mingle together because they're all evil and they all love evil. They all hate God. Look at the people who love God. Look how we're treated. Look how we're shunned. And nothing's changed in 2,000 years, ladies and gentlemen. Sure, we got better clothes, better beds, better technology, cars and all that. But at the end of the day, the sun comes up and goes down the same way it did when Jesus was here. The rain still falls the same way it did when Jesus was here. Make no mistake about it, ladies and gentlemen. The world is the same. The distractions have gotten greater. So I want to thank everyone for tuning into the show. I'm sorry I made this video a little bit long. I'm over 42 minutes now. So please like, share, subscribe. Thank you for taking the time. And we will see you tomorrow.